Yo, what is going on, everybody? And thank you to my special guest for taking the time out of his busy schedule to join me tonight to talk about some NFL draft, some Philadelphia Eagles moves, and what they need in this draft. But before we get into it, please make sure hit that like button for me. On the road to 4K, I'm stuck. I need y'all help. Help me out. Hit the subscribe button. And look, if you enjoy this, trust me, just hit it anyway. But without further ado, how are you doing, Mr. Jackson? Talk to me. How you feeling, brother?
Yeah, I'm feeling good, man. We're a week away from the 2023 NFL draft, and all eyes are on it now that free agency is in a rearview mirror. Obviously, some moves still being made here and there, but small scale moves. But yeah, Devin Jackson with the Philadelphia Inquirer, betting web producer there, and college sports freelancer, also covering NFL draft. And you can follow me on Twitter at reald_Jackson, and all my work is at theinquirer.com.
I saw something very interesting today on your Twitter. You did a piece about Nicole Lynn. Could you just tell us a little bit so the people could just go check it out if they want to find out more? Hey, don't tell them everything though. Just tease them a little bit.
Yeah, so obviously Nicole Lynn is the agent of Jalen Hurts, and she's made a really big name for herself in the agent world. Broke in in 2015, and then joined Clutch Sports in 2021, and has since become like the president of football operations at Clutch Sports. So she's someone that's a rising star in the industry, and I talked with two of her clients about who she is, outside of just being a Jalen Hurts agent or an NFL agent. And they gave me some great insight on who she is, how she negotiates, and just, everything around her character and personality. So check that out check that out on inquirer.com. Was a really, really cool piece that I don't typically get to do on a rising star in the agency world.
Yeah, man. Hey, look, she's a beast, man. Man, shout out to her, man. She shot her shot and it paid off big. I mean, she is probably the trailblazer for other female agents like her. You know what I mean? Like her. So hey, definitely go check it out, man. It's a good piece, man. And I will put the link to the Inquirer as the show goes on. But now let's get into it. So the Philadelphia Eagles, man, they're coming off a Super Bowl, man. What is your thoughts on the Eagles off season so far?
Yeah, to me, I think the biggest thing that stands out is the wins and getting Darius Slay and James Bradbury back. You thought you would lose at least one of them, just based on where the salary cap was, and just how the types of moves they were making, and expecting Bradbury to walk first of all, but then they get him back, and Slay maybe gets released but comes back. So it was definitely a drama filled all season at the beginning. Obviously, everything that went down with CJ Gardner Johnson as well, ended up going to Detroit. So secondary took some hits, but got two of their studs in the secondary back. And then losing Hargrave definitely hurts, as well as Isaac Selimanu as well, on the offensive line. So I think it's a little bit of a mixed bag in terms of who left, who came in free agency, and there's some things still left to address, but the main people are still back in there. Obviously, got Brandon Graham back too, which is great to have, as well as Fletcher Cox, two guys that have been big guys in the locker room, and ultra productive over the course of their career. And whoever they decide to draft, and likely it's going to be probably a defensive lineman or even another edge rusher. They'll be there to mentor them, and give them some guidance. So I think in structurally they're in a good spot, I would say. Obviously losing some people hurts, but I think overall you get back some key contributors. You get the contract out of the way with Jalen Hurts, and then I think from there you just kind of move forward, and get ready for the draft, and potentially get some guys that may not be big time contributors in year one, but can certainly see the vision for down the line.
Yeah, look, I can't disagree with what you just said, man. I was just shocked that we got Bradbury and we kept Slay and Cox came back, Graham came back. I mean, yes, Hargrave. We don't know. I mean, how big of a loss is going to be, especially when we drafted Jordan Davis last year. We still got Milton Williams waiting to come and show what he has. So, I feel confident that we could still be the most dominant defensive line in the National Football League because we have the pieces in the rotation. And you know how we ain't done. You know what I mean? There's always some vets out there. Sue, he's still out there. Joseph, he's still out there. There's other pieces that we probably could still add throughout the offseason, even throughout the regular season. So never count out Howie. But as far as our defensive line goes, I'm pretty confident we're still going to be as good, if not better, depending who we add in the draft. So with that being said, in your opinion, well, before we go there, overall take on this upcoming draft, how you liking the guys that's coming out? How good is this draft really? Yeah, just talk to me about it.
Yeah, I think a lot of this draft is going to be about finding good players and getting good value because there are probably 10 to 15 guys for sure are first rounders and are in that conversation that you expect to really be really good really soon. But after that, it becomes a game of finding the best guys for your scheme, finding the guys that you can bet on in terms of traits, and then it's really going to be on coaching staffs and development staffs and developing these players. So I think you're going to see a lot of guys that didn't have the greatest production in college, but they have big time traits and flashes that will leave you excited for what they could be in 2 or 3 years. And I really think that's most years in drafts, but I think this one in particular, when there's no dominant receiver at the top per se, or there's no dominant you know the defensive backs are dominant, but like the linebacker class isn't as strong. The defensive
Yeah,
line
yeah,
class after the top few guys isn't as strong. So then you're finding guys that can kind of fill out your roster and be some depth pieces. So this is a good like depth draft depth class where you get a lot of good players that will fill roles, but not necessarily be the stars or all pros. So I think that's gonna be kind of the name of the draft and finding guys that you can get on for your second and third string, kind of fill out your positional groups. But if you're looking for stars, you're gonna have to get them early, or you're gonna have to take some time to develop them to be stars down the line.
yeah, and that's exactly what I've been hearing, man. Shout out to Brennan Deegs, man. He right for the score. I had him on, and he was saying that he's not impressed with this draft class. He's really, but we all hyped about it. Man, I guess we are hyped for the first round. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people after the first, like, all right, hey, a guy you think that should have went in the first round that's still there, that was projected to go in the first round, is still there in the second round. You want your guy to go up and get him. Go get him. Go get him. He's a first round talent. But just like I've been hearing a lot that this draft is like, it's a good draft, but it's not like last year's draft or the next year upcoming draft, especially with the quarterback class that's coming out. So definitely, I'm surprised. Back-to-back guests I had on the show said the exact same thing. This draft is just about just some key pieces, but you gotta get them early. If you don't have no first round pick, you know what I mean. It's just one of those like you hoping that a guy that was supposed to go in the first round slipped to the second round and you just fall on your lap. But yeah, man. So I feel you, man. Any other words before we move on to the next one?
Yeah, I think the quarterbacks are really going to determine who might fall out of the first round too. Especially if there's a fifth quarterback and someone like a Hendon Hooker goes in the back half of the first round, then you get a situation where guys that might have gone to 25 to 30s, they're falling to the second round because of that. So definitely a class to watch who who quote unquote falls out of the first round. But like I said, I think there's a drop off after like those top 10, 15 guys. Then you're looking at guys that simply just fit, but you have to take someone in the first round.
Okay. All right. So, all right. So, who's the best quarterback in this draft? And is it easy, as clear cut as Bryce Young and CJ Stroud, nobody else? Those two guys are 1 and 2 no matter what.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting because I think when you look at the quarterback class for what it's worth, I think it's 1 and 2. It's Stroud and Young. They're 1A and 1B. I like Stroud over Young, but I don't think it's a wide margin. But when you think about the NFL and you see what really talented athletes that haven't put it all together yet as a passer have done and have gone in the first round. Someone like a Anthony Richardson, I think he's kind of the wild card in this equation.
Yeah.
Does a team want to take prospects that what you're going to get out of them? You can potentially have level play, or could you have someone that's a transcendent talent that you prefer? So I think that's the conversations teams are having in terms of the quarterback class. But I think it's 1 and 2 in Stroud and Young for me at the very least. And I think Stroud gets an edge for me because I just really, really like his poise, the way he delivers the football all over the field, his accuracy, his ability to throw over the middle of the field as well, and he delivered, especially on the biggest stage, in creating plays out of structure and throwing off platform, even though that's something he doesn't excel at. That's something that Bryce Young is really adept at and does quite a bit in terms of creativity. But I think Stroud showed if he needed to do it, he could do it. But he's definitely someone that's going to operate from the pocket mostly, and I think he keeps you on schedule. I don't think he's not the type of quarterback to take too many chances in terms of trying to make a broken play into a spectacular play. Someone like a Bryce Young, but I think he's going to keep you ahead of the sticks. He's going to keep you rolling. In the course of the drive and you're going to get less, I think, peaks and valleys in his play in terms of uh, he's going to, he could scramble out of the pocket and deliver a 50-yard throw. He's not going to do that as much, but he's going to wow you with some of his ball placement and whatnot. Bryce Young, on the other hand, I think he's more of a guy that you know, he's gonna wow you. He's gonna do things that you think he couldn't do. He's gonna find a way to complete passes that seem inconceivable. He has that creativity to him.
Yeah.
I think it may be a little bit more of an adjustment for him in terms of how quickly is he going to be able to throw behind an NFL offensive line. How often is he going to have to create windows for himself because of the height? And then just being able to overcome, he has a solid arm, but it's not something to write home about in terms of it doesn't have like Will Levis or Anthony Richardson type zip. Like it's a solid NFL arm, but I think he's gonna have some issues. I think early on in terms of what can he get away with with an arm that isn't at the same caliber as we're used to seeing in some of the top quarterbacks in NFL.
All right, yeah. So, hey, real quick, man. Hey, shout out to everybody that's watching, man. Drew, Nina, Tia, King DV, Danny, Joseph. Hey, please make sure y'all hit that like button for your boy. But all right, so real quick, Anthony Richardson, right? He's a very, very intrigued quarterback. I mean, uh, some people think that he could possibly go number one. But some people was like, well, he's probably the fourth best quarterback. Even they have Levis ahead of him. So is it because like he only just started 13 games? Like, I mean, what is it? Like some people got him up number one, some people got him as fourth best quarterback. In your opinion, what is up with Anthony Richardson?
Yeah, he's not your typical quarterback in terms of what we've come accustomed to seeing that rises kind of to the top. I think with Richardson, he has the tools, he has the makeup. He's even showing the ability to read defenses and understand how to manipulate a defense with his eyes. All of that is there with him, but everything isn't there in terms of consistent accuracy. The footwork certainly needs to be cleaned up with him as well. And we know what he does as a runner, and I think that's going to immediately make him a valuable asset. Just because we've seen, obviously, with the Eagles, seeing how valuable Jalen Hurts' legs are in the offense, and how difficult it can be for a defense to game plan around that. So I think with Richardson, you're getting a guy that's going to come in that doesn't have the wealth of experience, but the tool set and the arm and everything, the build, what he's able to do as a runner. I think everything in that package makes him an intriguing first round quarterback. I think obviously. I don't think he's going to go number one. I mean, we could still see him possibly go number one, but I think it's probably between Bryce Young and CJ Stroud, and all indications seem like it's going to be Bryce Young at the top of the class. But I think Richardson certainly could make an interesting argument. Maybe you take him three overall. Maybe Houston is trying to detract everyone from thinking they're going to take one of Stroud or Young, and maybe they take Richardson. So I think he could go as high as two, but I think if a team wants to see, kind of wait it out, you can get him probably as low as 10 or 11 if you're going to wait that long. But I wouldn't wait too long if you're a team that's going to try and get him, because once he gets past a certain point, someone's going to take that shot on him.
Yeah, look, I agree completely. So now let's transition to, what do you think the Philadelphia Eagles should do at number 10, in your opinion?
Yeah, this one's a tough one because, like, when you look at the 10th pick, the guys that are typically valued to go at 10 are not immediate things of need. They're more so like needs in a year or two. You look at edge rusher, obviously, as a potential. Jalen Carter maybe falling to 10 could entice you to take him
Hmm.
at 10 overall. Offensive line is an intriguing one. We know how the Eagles like to build in the trenches, and guys like Pierre Skoronsky and Paris Johnson are both versatile guys that could play guard in a pinch, or if you don't want to put Cam Jurgens at right guard, or he just isn't a fit at right guard, those guys could slide in there. And then obviously the elephant in the room is the running back position, and you could go Bijan Robinson. We found out today that he was the Eagles were just one of two teams to meet with him, or bring him in for a visit. And so certainly they have interest in Bijan and what he's done at the college level. So I think those are kind of the top.
You there? All right. So hey, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
All right, all right, all right. You back? Let's get it. And you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. All
I
right.
lost you there for a second.
Okay.
All right, but yeah, I was just saying. I think it comes down to those positions. Personally, for me, I think I would go Nolan Smith or Paris Johnson at 10. Just because I think those guys feel like they fit with what the Eagles are trying to do. But I wouldn't be mad if they decide to go Bijan and just try to build the best roster, or go another offensive lineman, Skoronsky, or they go to someone like Tyree Wilson that could fall out of the top 9 picks.
Hmm.
So I think those are kind of where I'm at in terms of uh, players I would ideally like to see go at 10. What I think is going to happen, that's a different entire question, because I just think this one is this year in particular, this is a tough one because they have another pick at 30. So whatever
Exactly.
they don't get there, they could possibly get at 30, or they could go a completely different route. So I think it's tough for sure to know, but I would say Nolan Smith or Paris Johnson is who I think they should go.
Okay. So, and my other question is, I mean, um do you see a scenario the Philadelphia Eagles may trade up, if a Carter just starts slipping, because we talk about the quarterbacks, every year teams start panicking when quarterbacks start going early, a Stroud, Young, Levis, and now Anthony Richardson is up, and he's on the board. So, I mean, is there a scenario where Carter might slip to like 8, and now Eagles are at 10 and say, you know what? Hey, this is too close. We about to jump up and get him. Or even a Anderson, maybe at like 7. They might just jump up and go get him. I mean, is there a scenario in your head? Do you see, those guys falling down to the point where the Eagles just go up and try to snatch them?
Yeah, I think 7 or 8 seems to be the sweet spot in terms of one of those guys start to fall. Um, Especially because you're looking at 6, the Lions are not trading out of 6 if a guy like Anderson or Carter is
Yeah.
on the board. So you already know, as you know, if you're Howie Roseman, like if you make a call to the Lions, they're probably hanging up on you, unless you're giving them some big, sending something big back. So I would say probably 7 or 8 is the spot to trade up, and certainly Carter would be at the top of the list. Anderson as well. I think if those guys are at 7, you have to do what it takes to get them, because they're going to make your defense better immediately, even if you don't plan on making them an early starter or whatever. So I would say that is the ideal scenario. In terms of trading down, though, I think it can get interesting if there's a quarterback at 10, because there's going to be probably a lot of teams want at least making that phone call, inquiring about it. Especially like a Levis or Richardson is there.
Mhm.
The Titans obviously at 11, they might want to move up.
Mhm.
Houston, if they don't take a quarterback at 2, they might consider moving back into the top 10, and then getting the quarterback if there's one there.
Yeah.
Some wild cards, though. I think the Commanders may be trying to make a call and seeing,
Yeah.
inquiring about a quarterback, and then the Vikings have been rumored to at least be interested in the class, and they would have to trade from the 20s to 10, so they would have to give up a big haul to get into the top 10. But it certainly is possible in terms of that. But I would, if I'm the Eagles, I wouldn't probably go past 7 in terms of trying to trade up,
Mhm.
because once you get into the 5-6 range, you're gonna have to give up probably. I mean, you might have to give up this year's first, or possibly some other premium picks,
Well,
or next
Eagles
year.
do have 12 picks next year, and a lot of them are like seconds and thirds. So just keep that in mind too with Howie Roseman, and we got the 30th pick, so we could kind of package the deal. So yeah, I agree with you. I mean, we're gonna have to, if we want a Carter or Anderson, we're gonna have to. But the Eagles, look, they are in a great position. Like they didn't yet. Yes, they lost Hargrave and Gardner Johnson, but like they are right there. Their offense is intact, so they don't really have to reach for anybody. They are a running back by committee, and then even if you stay at 30, you still could get a shoot that running back from Alabama, Jamar Greer.
Yeah, Jameer Gibbs.
Yeah, yeah, Gibbs. Yeah, so you could grab him. Me personally, I want the Philadelphia Eagles. Every year we hear we need a big back, somebody that could help at the goal line situation. We just paid Jalen Hurts. I'm a big Zach Charbonnet fan. Like, I mean, I'm a big fan of him because I feel like that his production in college, I mean, a little bit better as far on the ground than a Robinson, but that's not a sexy name. But the Eagles, man, if you're an Eagle fan, you know for a fact we don't care about sexy names really. Like we just, we go off of our 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 gut feeling. Like Rager was like a speed guy, a little gadget guy. So I won't be surprised if we stay at 10 and then try to grab you know, another running back at 30. So yeah, I agree with you on that one. If we want to move up, we definitely gonna have to give up some, some picks.
Yeah, for sure. I think it really just comes down to like you how comfortable are you that he's going to be a guy that can really make a difference. And with getting Carter, I mean, you're gonna have his old teammates, N'Kobe Dean and Jordan Davis as well in that locker room. So he's gonna be in a good spot. You're learning from Fletcher Cox. I think for me personally, like having the mentorship of Fletcher Cox as a Jalen Carter, someone that's already really talented and probably could be a top 10 defensive lineman next year, just coming in and just what this skill set brings. And you learn some of the intricacies of the game, and even add more to your pass rush repertoire from Cox. I think it's a scenario where you have Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter in the middle of the defense for a decade, and you don't have to worry about those two, causing havoc in your backfield.
Yeah. All right. So, who's your favorite player in the draft?
Yeah, this one is a tough one. There's a lot of players that I like, but I'm gonna go with Jartavius Martin from Illinois. He's a nickel and safety prospect that really caught my eye while I was watching Illinois defense. They have some really good players in that secondary. Obviously, Devin Witherspoon, who's in the backdrop right now. Sidney Brown's a really good safety prospect too, but Martin for me really popped out to me because he's one of all. First of all, he's extremely fast. He ran in the 4.4s in the 4 yard dash at the combine. Smooth out of his back pedal, able to transition fluidly. Played a lot of nickel at Illinois just because the robust talent of their secondary was just outstanding.
And they're
But he
all
also
in the
rotated.
NFL. They're all about to be drafted.
Yeah, but he rotated back as a deep safety as well, and he really showed some nice range to make plays on the ball. So, I could see him being a Chauncey Gardner type of usage in Eagles defense, where you can throw him in a nickel, you can put him back at safety, you can move him around a little bit. He's a really good tackler in space too, and really physical. So I think he's someone that I think is really gonna impress at the NFL level. Some projections have him second or third round. I think he's going to go in the third round area, and I think a defense is going to get a player that you can really mold into whatever you want in the secondary. I think he even has an opportunity to play some outside corner if you need him to. But I would ideally like him as a safety nickel hybrid in the defense.
Oh man, look, it's funny because I got his teammate, Sidney Brown, man. Yo, I know he's a little bit small, but like an inch or two. But yo, 6 interceptions, you cannot, just wipe off, right? This dude has 6 interceptions, 7 pass defense. I mean, this dude is a ball hawk to me, man. Um, and and definitely his other teammate and Devin Witherspoon, but man, that's a very intriguing, a guy you said, just Jartavius Martin. I mean, I wasn't even looking at him, but now I'm definitely going to have to kind of keep my eyes on him a little bit more. But man, that is your favorite play in the whole draft. I like it. I like
Yeah,
it.
because like for me, I like dudes that are versatile and can do multiple things for a team. And I think when you think about some of the best players in NFL, they're always playing multiple positions, especially in the secondary. Some of the ones that are a little bit undervalued and may not get as much recognition. I think in a defense like Philadelphia, where there are some question marks at safety in terms of who's going to be there long term. I think is a guy you could bring in in the third round or second round, and you let him kind of mold and develop and see what you get out of him.
Okay. All right. So let's move on. And who's the best player in the draft, regardless of position? I don't care about a quarterback, running back. Who do you think is the best overall player in this draft?
Yeah, I think it's Jalen Carter. I think Will Anderson makes a compelling argument at one as well. Just what he was able to do in the SEC and being able to play, like a 4 eye and five technique at Alabama at like 240 pounds. So uh, Anderson makes an intriguing argument, but in terms of Carter, he just destroys your game plan. At the college level, I know his stats really don't do the justice. Some of the injuries he dealt with at Georgia and some of the off field things, but when you have that guy healthy and allowed to pin his earbacks and get after the quarterback, stuff, run on running plays, shoot gaps, and just be a menace at the line of scrimmage. I think Carter really checks off all those boxes. And he's not just a one dimensional guy. He's not just a power guy. He's not just a guy that just uses his speed. He uses the combination of both to be disruptive in both the running and passing game. So I think Carter for me is the best one, and then after that will be Anderson. But I think those two guys really are in a class of their own in terms of they're clearly to me they're the best players at their respective positions, and they have lived up to the hype, even though they've been getting hype for the last 2-3 years. They deliver every time they step on the field.
See, oh, man, this is close. This is very, very close to me, man. But I love Will Anderson, man, because he remind me of we all looking for the next Michael Parsons. Like, you know what I mean? So we all looking for the next guy that could disrupt every play, no matter where you put him. Like every time I'm watching Alabama, he's everywhere. He's getting sacks. He's dropping back. He's all over your face. He's that dog. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I have to agree with you. I have to agree with you. Your interior, the way that Carter manhandled these guys in the SEC. You know what I mean? A lot of people are kind of turned off, because of his little overweight issue and his off-season thing. Like people don't realize that he witnessed something tragic. You know what I mean? Like that might have played with his mind, and now that led to a lot of other stuff. So I don't believe that he's gonna go to a team and do the exact same thing, fall, be out of shape and all that stuff. Look, they said the same thing about Jordan Davis. Jordan Davis was heavy, out of shape, whatever. But Jordan Davis said he lost over 20 something pounds in training camp, like literally. So NFL OTAs and training camp is definitely different from college. And now you got the guys around you, the professionals, the Fletcher Cox, the Jordan Davis, the Brandon Graham around you. So I definitely think if Carter is there and Will Anderson is there, I'm going Carter. I'm going Carter, man, because that interior defensive line, you cannot just getting the pressure in the quarterback face all the time is what disrupt, passing and the quarterback rating. You have to beef up the middle, like Hargrave. Hargrave had his best season ever, and a nice rotational, with him and Graham and Sue and Joseph. So I'm definitely going Jalen Carter, but a lot of people want Bijan Robinson. So, in your opinion, would selecting Bijan Robinson at number 10 be a mistake for the Philadelphia Eagles?
I don't think so because I don't think they're a type of type of organization that's going to run someone into the ground like a Bijan Robinson at 10. You're putting a premium investment at a running back if you're taking one that early. And look, you kind of have that running back by committee approach right now.
Yeah.
And while I think Bijan is certainly going to be featured, if they do select him, I do think they're still going to rely on that type of concept where you're not making him, touch the ball 30, 40 times a game. You get him in situations, and you let him touch the ball 15, 20 times a game, get that rhythm, and then you can build off of that. He's a natural receiver too, in terms of running routes and being able to run routes in the slot. So you're getting a guy that's not just going to be an every down, next to Jalen or behind Jalen, running straight ahead. You're getting a guy that can add value to the passing game too. And I think that's kind of what their plan would be in terms of using him. You want to use him to the best of his abilities, but you also don't want to be in a situation where you take him, he ends up getting injured or just isn't the same type of a back in a couple years, and then all of a sudden, contract time comes and you may make a different decision. So I think the Eagles, if they're taking Bijan at 10, they're certainly going to have a plan in terms of, hey, we're not going to run this guy into the ground, or we're not going to uh, you know, make that shelf life of a running back tick off any quicker. And you still want to use Jalen Hurts' running ability, but I think using him also as a decoy to Bijan in particular, that can also be an aspect to your offense where you can really open some things up. So I think if they do take him, they're planning on certainly having him in a rotation early, but you want to kind of keep that steady rotation and keep them fresh. Because honestly, the Eagles are looking for longer runs into the playoffs. They're not just looking at 1 year and getting to the Super Bowl and calling it quits.
Yeah, and I do think the biggest fear in Eagles mind or NFL fan mind is the shelf life of a running back. I mean, do you really want to take him that high? And then after 5 years, even if you franchise tag him, twice or six, and then he done. So that's the biggest thing. But I mean, if Howie Roseman is in a win now mode and protect your quarterback, he might go Bijan at number 10. If not, just trade down a couple spots, acquire more picks, maybe a late first or a second, and then maybe a fourth. The Eagles don't have a fourth, a fifth, or a sixth. So that's what I'm thinking about. So if a Carter is not there, Innocent is not there, Bijan is there, can they possibly just trade down just a little bit, get some more picks? I do not see Howie Roseman sitting down for 3 straight rounds and not doing anything. But we'll see. If Bijan fall to us, look, I'll grab him in a heartbeat if nobody else is available, like a Carter Anderson or even a Smith type. But we'll see what happens. But look, hey, we draft him. I am jumping up on top of the roof and mountains. Look, I'm shouting for joy. But I'd rather have a Carter than a Bijan. So, who are some draft prospects that should be graded higher or even go in the first round that is like in the second or third round?
Yeah, the I think what's interesting is the back half of that first round. I think is going to be even different than what people are projecting it, or how they're projecting it to go, in terms of who exactly goes off the board. Um, for me, like I look at guys that maybe you go round one, maybe you don't. What's kind of the temperature on that? I
Mm-hmm.
would say Julius Brents from Kansas State is someone that I could see sneaking into the back of round one. A really long, athletic defensive back that played both man and zone with the Wildcats in this final season. Someone that really displayed some ability to jam at the line of scrimmage at the Senior Bowl, be able to mirror the routes of receivers, cover vertically. Had some great matchups against Quentin Johnston, who is a projected first round pick. So I think I would look at a guy like Brents, and I would feel comfortable taking him in the back half of round one. Now, does he actually go there? I don't think so. I think he's probably more of a mid second round pick, but we've seen the NFL start to love long and athletic corners more and more every year.
Yep.
Obviously, we saw with Sauce Gardner last year, someone that ended up being the rookie of the year. You even go back to J.C. Horn a couple years ago for the Carolina Panthers. So you want to get guys that kind of match up with some of these athletic and quick receivers, and I think he can do that. So Brent's is someone that I probably would pick for that. Otherwise, I mean, it's kind of tough to know who exactly is going where in that back half of the first round, because I mean it really depends on who's there. Like, team might trade back and a guy that they were expecting to get in the second round, now they don't have that pick anymore, or they readjusted kind of the way they're thinking. So I mean, we could see a lot of projected second and third round picks go in the back half of that first round. I think that's where it really gets muddy in terms of, all right, we know like the 15, the 20 guys that may be going in the first round and have had first round discussions the entire cycle. But, those last 10 to 12 picks, do you see a guy like Keon White from Georgia Tech, edge rusher? He's a bit older, but he played a little bit of three tech as well at Georgia Tech. He had some first round buzz. Now he's getting back down to the late second, early third, but he's going to be there draft night. So could he possibly now be back in that first round range? So I think it's going to be interesting for sure to see what happens. But Brent's is someone that I would mention is someone that I think is going to could go first round just based on his traits and build and what he was able to do.
Yeah, look, I agree. And plus, you have all five quarterbacks are projected to go in the first round. You got Young, Stroud, Anthony Richardson, Will Levis, and Hendon Hooker. If he did not get hurt, I believe that he had a higher ceiling than Will Levis. I mean, the way he was playing, this past season, this dude was on a Heisman Trophy type of season. So, and he got hurt out for the season. So, I definitely think with those five quarterbacks projected all to go in the first round, you might have some guys slip, and you like, wow, okay, let me go out and get this guy, or might slip in into the second round. But all right, so let's go to let me see. Who are some sleepers? I mean, you might have mentioned some that probably went, that should have been a graded higher. But who are some sleepers in this upcoming draft that you think teams should pay more attention to?
Yeah, I'll start with a receiver in Jalen Cropper from Fresno State. He's someone that I've liked over the last 2 years. Really, really shined to me. Going into that 2021 season, and he played a lot of slot receiver in 21, but in 22, he played a lot more outside receiver. He has the route tempo to kind of keep DBs off balance. He really owns the middle of the field and is able to make some of the tough catches over the middle of the field. And he creates subtle separation. He's not someone that's going to be, running any crazy routes and creating 3-4 yards of separation, but he's been a really reliable weapon at Fresno State, and someone that I've really liked and really liked this game and see it translating. And even his 40 time was a bit surprising to me. I thought he was more of a probably sub 4.5 guy, but he ran the 4.4, so he really checks the box in terms of a speed guy too. So he's someone that I would be really excited about on day three of the draft and in that fourth or fifth round. Someone that I think could make an impact. Towards the end of his rookie season and really lock down a wide receiver 2 or 3 role at the NFL level. So he's someone that I would still call a sleeper. I feel like he's still not getting talked about enough.
Hmm.
Um, and then I'll go kind of to the other side of the ball and look at another sleeper in the Mountain West, and that's Viliami Fehoko from San Jose State. He's a big, strong defensive end type that played some edge rusher, played some interior. So he did a little bit of both, but he plays really powerful and can really move people at the point of attack and plays with some heavy hands. I think he's more of a 6 or 7 round pick, but he's someone I think could be a nice rotational piece, a depth piece. In a pinch, you can put him at a 3 tech and allow him to be a run stuffer on rundown. So those are two guys that kind of immediately stick out to me in terms of sleepers or someone that I would pay more attention to. And then I'll drop one more name here. Tyus Wheat from Mississippi State. He's a 6'2", 263, like a hybrid outside linebacker and linebacker. And he was someone that I didn't even realize until like couple weeks ago, was actually in this draft class. It went to the Shrine Bowl, but he's someone to me that kept catching my eye when I was watching him against Georgia, and he just kept. He was a relentless pass rusher, like a bit undersized guy. Maybe you probably play him at 4 eye or a true defensive end, and maybe you put him as a sub package linebacker too, like a sandbacker. But I really like his relentlessness and ability to get to the football and his closing speed. So those are a couple names I would throw around as guys that I could see being contributors, but not being any of like like a main role. I could see them filling out some nice depth pieces, especially on day 3 of the draft.
All right. Look, who's your best wide receiver in this draft, in your opinion?
Yeah, I'm gonna go Jackson Smith and Jigba. Like I like Quentin Johnston and what Jordan
Mhm.
Addison is able to do, but in terms of when you projecting to the next level and who's going to be good, I think you know Smith and Jigba was already playing at an NFL level, in 2021 before he was even draft eligible. The injury concerns certainly are a
Yeah,
concern,
yeah.
but then when he was able to do testing wise, it looked about the numbers that you expect from him in terms of what he's able to do. It's not a burner. He's not someone that's going to be, I think, a high end, 14, 1500 receiver type player. I think he's more in that 900 to 1,000 sweet spot where you kind of move him around a little bit. I think he would be a high end wide receiver too for a team. So I think if you're looking for someone to play opposite of your main guy, he would be the person. And I think he would do a really nice job getting open, finding the open zones and zone coverage, and exploiting one-on-one mismatches, and just being a reliable receiver, someone that you could throw to over the middle of the field and move the chain. So I think for me, that's where I go for the receiver class. This one has so many uh, you know, guys that, are smaller slot receivers, or they predominantly play in the slot. Obviously Johnson's one of the lone guys that play on the outside. He's more of a deep threat, long speed type of player that you would use to take shot plays. And I think he can develop into a really solid receiver. But I think Smith and Jigba right now is who I feel confident in, and he's my top receiver.
Okay, I like it, and I do not disagree one bit. I mean, yes, the injury concern is always going to be, in front of team minds, but that didn't stop the Lions from drafting. Who they draft last year from Alabama? That tore
Oh,
his
Jameson
ACL.
Williams.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they ain't stopped it, and everybody wanted him still, So, but my last question for you is going to be a tricky one. Potential boom or bust. Every year we have one, maybe two. So, who is being overhyped? That might, I don't know if it's that good, and who's like, okay, well, this guy, had the potential to be that dude on another team if you use him correctly.
I think there's two names to me that immediately popped out. Lucas Van Ness from Iowa to me screams a boomer bust prospect, and not because I don't think he's gonna find a successful role in the NFL, but he is all power right now. He is strictly a power rusher, and you just have to question like where does exactly that fit, in the modern NFL? Are you going to put him out on the edge and let him, kind of collapse the pocket? Are you going to put him in the interior? And I
Yeah,
feel like if you don't have a set way of using him, if you just like, you know what, you're just going to be our outside backer or you're just going to be our defensive end, and you gotta, keep, you know, you know, keep your responsibilities and run fits and whatnot. There's just a lot of variance in his play in college. Like the highs are really high, but a lot of people like post that clip of him against Skoronski from 2021, Well, they met in 22, and Skaronski whooped him pretty bad. He kept them pretty much from any pressures in that game. So like you see kind of the both sides here, like, okay, like you see the power, he can knock over dudes. He gave Paris Johnson fits a couple times, but also Paris Johnson won some reps in that game. So it's like you got to kind of separate, like, all right, you see the same plays kind of circulating. All right, what else does he have in his tool bag? And right now there's not a lot else outside of power, but like everything around him suggests that he's a really hard worker. He's someone that you could really develop. But I feel like if you take him in the top 10, and he's not panning out by year two or year three, I think that's where you can really get concerned, because like that's what he goes to, is power. And then the other player for me is Drew Sanders from Arkansas. And it's not because I think he's gonna be a bust. I'm scared that a team is gonna try and use him like
Ooh,
the Cardinals try to use Isaiah Simmons as a true linebacker, or Hassan Reddick even with the Cardinals. He was
yeah.
used as a true linebacker when he's really a more of a pass rusher. And I think Drew Sanders is more of a pass rusher than he is a true in the box linebacker. And I'm afraid that either a team is going to try to mold him into their scheme, or they're just going to let him like rush the passer on third downs on like blitzes, and not really use his full package, and give him responsibilities he may not be comfortable with right now. Because he was a former edge rusher at Alabama before he went to Arkansas this past season. And he played linebacker in high school, but it's a different level, obviously, from high school to college, and lots of years in between. And while he makes some really flashy plays, and has really done some nice things, he also had a lot of missed tackles as well in his final season at Arkansas. So you worry, like, is he going to be able to put it all together as a linebacker? Like, are you going to use him, like a Darius Leonard or in Fred Warner, or are you going to go more of the Micah Parsons route? And I think if they go the Micah Parsons route with him, I think he'll be in a much better spot. But you just can't guarantee that a team is going to use him correctly.
Yeah, also is he, as good, as a Michael Parson, because and Michael Parson got the speed, he got the agility, the moves, the quickness. I mean, not everybody, and not every linebacker could just like better at edge rushing than they are at linebacker. You know what I mean? And Michael Parsons, to me, he's a freaking weapon. Like you don't know where he's gonna line up. I mean, he might just decide to line up and nose tackle. Like who knows? You know what I mean? So but definitely, I do agree with you. A lot of these guys that's coming out in the draft is all about fit and system. Like, are you going to use them correctly? If you draft them this high, I mean, what do you expect from them? And that's what happens when a lot of bust comes out, right? Look at a Geno Smith, man. I'm not saying that he was a bust, but he had a lot of weight on his shoulder, especially with the Jets. And now all of a sudden, 10 years later, this dude's like, who the hell is this? He won comeback player of the year. I mean, so he's a whole different person. So you definitely have to draft these guys and put them in situation to succeed. Like Jalen Hurts, like his first 8 games of the 2021 season. Throw. That's not his strength. His strength is to utilize him all over the field, be that weapon. So it's going to be on the teams. A lot of these players are either going to be boom or bust just based on the system that they go to. So I definitely agree with you on that one, man. But look, man, we about to get out of here, man. I appreciate you coming on, man. Hey, man, this was a blast to have you on. Awesome show to have you on, man. Thank you for coming on. And if y'all watching, man, Devin wrote a nice piece on Jalen Hurts' agent today. Nicole Lynn. The link is down below. Definitely go check it out. Once again, man, for those who was not in the chat, we about to wrap this up. Let them know what this piece is about and let them know where they could find you at.
Yeah, so you mentioned that Nicole Lynn is becoming a star agent in the NFL world, and everyone kind of knows that story about her DMing Jalen Hurts, and being able to become his agent based off of that. But I kind of dig a little bit deeper into like who she is, like how do other people see her, especially two of her other clients that also both made history in their own right. Lori Locust for the Tennessee Titans, she became the first full-time NFL women's coach in 2019. Jennifer King became the first Black woman to be a full-time NFL coach in 21. And she is the Asian of both of them as well. So kind of getting their perspective on who she is, what she is like as a negotiator, what does she do to get the best out of her clients, and they both described her as someone that is just authentic and always herself in every situation. So check that out on inquirer.com. That's where you can find all of my work and draft content. And you can follow me on Twitter at reald_Jackson.
Yes, man. Please go check him out, man. He's definitely worth a follow, man. Very knowledgeable, man. He writes for the Philadelphia Eagles, but there's another team in the picture. I'm not gonna blame him. Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do, right? You know what I mean? You gotta, chase your dream job no matter where it takes you. So definitely go check him out on Twitter, man. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, man, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button on your way out, and we will see y'all next time. Go